Welcome to our 4-week challenge on creating the relationships of your dreams. Let's begin with these questions. What would life be like if all your relationships were relaxed and supportive? What would life be like if your special partner and you were closely entwined in a loving and exciting adventure? As we start this 4-week challenge, it's an opportunity to focus and commit to getting more out of life by creating a new and evolved relationship with yourself, which automatically leads to a new and involved relationships with everyone else in your world. If that sounds like fun, and it's the sort of fun you've been missing out on, then make a commitment to yourself, here and now, that this will be the month when everything and everyone in your life changes. This is not your usual how-to program, because as we said last week, the stark truth about relationships is that if you are not intersecting with others in ways that are loving and supportive, then that's because you are not a match to that. And there are not enough how-tos on the planet to change that picture. It's not about what you need to do. It's about how you need to think. Resetting your point of attraction is an internal process. And once you get there, you don't need how-tos at all. Once you get there, miracles happen. And there's no power in heaven or on earth that can keep you apart from the relationships that you're looking for. So let's talk about how you get there. Today is Awareness Day. Awareness is the key to unautomating things, to moving aside old habits and creating new ones. We're going to start today by having you think about where you are. We're going to ask you to assess your current relationships and decide what it is you'd like to achieve. Then we're going to ask you to become aware of your expectations and notice that what's showing up is a match to those expectations. Then as we go through these 4 weeks, we're going to work on making changes to those expectations because those are the blueprint your world is built from. New expectations equals new world and new people in your world and in your life. From an Abraham quote today came these words: if this time-space reality has within it the ability to inspire a desire within you, it is absolute that this time-space reality has the ability to yield you a full and satisfying manifestation of that same desire. It is law. In other words, as you operate in your space-time virtual reality, in this game called Life on Earth, you have experiences, some wanted and some not wanted, and new desires are born. And an absolute fact of the law of attraction is that within this world of yours, you can create what you want. And there are no limits to that, and there are no exceptions to that. In all these declarations of truth about who you are and what power you have, you will notice that there are no ifs or buts. There are no qualifiers that might sound something like, unless, of course, this or that particular person in your life refuses to accept you. Or unless your mother, father, sister, brother, daughter, son keeps putting you down or rejecting you. And the reason there are never qualifiers in these statements is that the truth about you and your world is that you are the only one making the decisions about it. Nobody has any power to assert things into your experience that are not a match to your expectations. It might look like that there are difficult people out there you're forced to deal with. But in these 4 weeks, we're going to explore with you how you can change all of that. Let's begin by asking you to think about this question. Who are those other people out there? Well, firstly, let's step away from the idea that you're all physical humans sharing one version of a physical world. At your essence, you are, and at our essence, we are, all of us are, a timeless, spaceless consciousness. Your conscious choices have created you and have created a matching context around you. In that context are the particular versions of the things and the other conscious entities you have attracted into your game. All those people in your world are showing up as you expect them to be, even as this particular version of you is showing up in their world as a match to their particular choices. As we get into this, we encourage you to observe yourself. We suggest you play a dual role. Be in the stands even as you are out on the field playing. Let's try that right now. Take a moment and watch yourself reacting right now. Watch how your mind goes this way and that way when we say things like, here's our summary of the law of attraction. Even though it looks like there's one world and it's out there, there are actually multiple versions of reality. And yes, you are always moving between them. If all of that sounds too confusing, all you have to know is this. You attract into your experience, wanted or unwanted, moment by moment, a world that matches the totality of your expectations. And those expectations come from what you've chosen to believe. And you can make new choices at any time. Can you see how observing yourself helps you to step away from certainties and inevitabilities and perhaps make some new choices? Good. Now, as we go through our exercise for today, you're going to reawaken some desires. Watch yourself as that happens. Be aware of how your inbuilt expectations may be automatically stepping all over those desires. And then remember those Abraham words with no ifs and no buts. If this time-space reality has within it the ability to inspire a desire within you, it is absolute that this time-space reality has the ability to yield you a full and satisfying manifestation of that same desire. It is law. New expectations equals new world and new people in your world and in your life. So now let's get into the process of making some of those new choices. Now we're going into a purely mental exercise here, but your homework before Tuesday's call is to get this process down on paper. Write it down or key it in and rethink through these steps. But for now, get quiet in your mind. And to the extent that you can, keep that observer going in the background. Are you watching? Good. Take over control of your breathing here for a second and take a deep breath. Always think of a good deep breath as a powerful signal to your subconscious mind and an acknowledgement by your conscious mind that the conscious you is the one in charge. Okay. Make a list in your mind of, say, 5 or so of those other conscious players in your movie. Those you have chosen to be closest to you or that you have the most involvement with. And yes, they were choices of yours, even if they are or were your parents. Think of each of them now just for a second or two. Now you're going to pick one in particular, but later go through each of them in this way. So pick one. They could be alive, or they could even be so-called dead and reaching back from the grave and stepping into your thoughts. Just pick one. You know them well. Think about them. They are this way and that way. And they do these things well and those things not so well. They like certain things and not other things. They like you or love you or dislike you and avoid you. Now, as the observer, notice this. They're not here. They're not in your presence, and yet here you are, able to paint that clear picture of them because you, quote, know them, unquote, so well. Here's the truth of this. That picture you just visited is what creates them in your world. They exist that way because you, quote unquote, know them as being that way. It's not that you learned they were that way. You created them that way from even before you knew them. You started them out as an envelope of possibilities. They showed up within those boundaries as a match to who you were at that point. Then you made some more belief choices about them and narrowed the boundaries. Then you practiced those choices until you had them locked in. That's how you know them. If a friend says, I'm bringing someone over for dinner, what do you know of that someone? You would say perhaps, nothing until I meet them. Really? Think about that, because you're already painting that new person into your world. You already have some ideas about them. You've already started creating them. They're human, and already that fits within the human set of boundaries. You've already made some choices. about the sort of person this friend might bring. Without perhaps being conscious of it, you have a right now vibrational set point about your world. And this new person must conform to that point of attraction. When you meet them, you have first impressions, new choices, then second impressions, more choices, until you've got them locked in. So let's return once again as the observer to that one person you singled out and begin to see the path ahead. See them as you want them to be. It's a matter of making new choices. It's nothing to do with those old choices. It's not about facing reality. You have to face reality is just about the worst advice on the planet when you're seeking to make some changes in your world. What we're doing here is beginning the process of creating a new reality. So why on earth would you focus your creative power on maintaining what you don't want? Phooey to that. Begin to see the path ahead as you want it to be. Begin to paint a new picture of this person. And paint, and paint, and paint. Practice that new picture into your expectation tapestry. Good. So this is the awareness of which we spoke, knowing what you expect right now. Then as we go through these 4 weeks, we're going to work on making changes to those expectations, because those form the blueprint your world is built from. New expectations equals new world and new people in your world and in your life. And now let's move to our longer discussion and your questions. And let's see if we can get a few miracles in the making here.